Welcome back to Speaking with Gravity. It is episode 102, and if you tuned in to episode 101, you already know what's up. But if you did not, still the episode, we're still talking about mental health awareness, and how everything affects everything. But we have officially crossed over the milestone of chapter 100 from season 10 to season 11. And we are stepping into this new season with new host. So I am Kervin Searles, one of your hosts, and I'm joined by this guy to my right over here.
I had to make sure he wanted me to go.
Yeah.
My name's Terance Dawkins, of course.
Yeah. And he has been with us since season 8, season 9, season 10, and now we're on season 11. And we also have a new host, Sharika Anderson, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharika Anderson. I go by Sharika. Okay, guys.
All right.
I'm a marriage, family, couple therapist intern, so I go LMFT. I don't know what much you want to say.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, you did good.
They're gonna get into they're gonna get into who you are throughout this season. So that was a good start. All right, Terance, it's on you.
All right. Bang. This season, not only are we changing things up on the podcast, but we're shifting from, it was the road to 100 into a new focus this season, which is season 11, Beyond the Aesthetic. Are we actually healing? Because while mental health awareness is at an all-time high, we want to know if that awareness is leading to actual transformation or just better vocabulary.
Yeah. So speaking of vocabulary, I think that's a good segue into before we kind of go through the rest of the episode. What vocabulary have y'all started to hear more of? Like in the recent, I'm just gonna say the last 10 years, and for you, Terance, that would mean since you was 15, since you 25 now. Over the last,
you trying to play me? I see where the season going. All right, I see already.
Nah, but in the last 10 years, is there any vocabulary that y'all have heard more of that wasn't originally out there? For me, if I had to say a word, it would be narcissism. This person is narcissistic. I hear that a lot. And oftentimes when they're saying it, they're not just casually throwing it out there, saying it as if they're completely aware of all the things that it entails, but it's also connected a lot of times to somebody who's super confident, and that confident person may have hurt the person who is calling them that. I see those two things go together a lot. Not to say that person that they're identifying as narcissistic is actually that, but that's one of those vocabulary words that has been out there in the last 10 years that I've heard more of. What would y'all say?
That's a good question. Let me ponder for a second. I don't know. Something that comes to mind would be gaslighting.
Oh, yeah.
You're triggering me.
Triggering, yes.
Trauma has been a hot topic. I don't know if that's just like a vocabulary word, but it's a topic, right? So stuff like that.
Okay. And Sharika, did you have any that came to mind? I think he covered a lot of them.
He really did. When he said gaslighting, it was the first thing that came to mind for me, but then boundaries as well. Ooh. People love to say, oh, this is my boundary, just to make sure that they're able to, I'll say, not feel as if somebody is checking them per se, or actually telling them exactly how they feel. They say, well, I'm establishing a clear boundary and not really respecting somebody else's space, but they in turn say it's their boundary.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. So every episode this season, the goal is to bring a licensed therapist to the table to bridge the gap between just trending topics and the truth, the clinical truth, right? And today you got 3 therapists that's a part of this discussion, and we're still gonna have our QD of the hour. We're still gonna have Terance still know what the people want to know.
Yeah,
he's still gonna do those. Yeah. But the trend, the Instagram therapy, that's what we're gonna frame it as. it's all about, like we were just talking about, the terminology, triggers, boundaries, gaslighting, all those things that y'all just talked about. Terance, what do the people want to know? Just to kind of, and the topic of this episode is therapy has been trending, but is it transforming us? Episode 102, therapy has been trending, but is it transforming us? Okay. So what do the people want to know, Terance?
Well, the people want to know, because they talk to me.
I'm sorry, Sharika. When he tell us what the people want to know, then we have to give our little 2 cents on what the people want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, because the people be talking, and I be listening. You know what I'm saying? So the people want to know if you can name your trauma, explain your triggers, and define your boundaries, but your daily life still feels the same, are you actually healing, or are you just becoming a subject matter expert on your own pain?
Oh, wow.
That's deep.
So if you can name your trauma, explain your triggers, and define your boundaries, if you could do all of that,
Yep.
but nothing changes, are you actually healing?
Or becoming a subject matter expert on your own pain?
I would say this. I hear people say all the time, you need therapy. Or I see somebody saying, I am now going to therapy. Or I see somebody say that I went to therapy. And whenever people come into my office and I'm seeing them one-on-one, if they have said they went to therapy, one of my questions is, well, what did you learn? Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm asking what did you learn, not just to be a butthole, but like I don't want to have to cover something that you already know. I don't want to redo something, right? I want to see where we need to go from there, and that's one of the questions that'll lead me to that. But also, if you can't tell me what you have learned, then what happened? Did you go to 1 session? Did you go to 4 sessions? If you went to 4 sessions, what did you get out of those sessions? And that's not to say that the person that you went to is a horrible therapist. You just might not have connected with that therapist. I haven't connected with every single person that have sat across from me or sat with me in my office. I haven't been successful in all areas. There are some people that I do lose out on. And so that's a possibility. But when I'm thinking about what the people want to know is, what are people learning in therapy? Number one. And number two, when we're talking about Instagram therapy, what are they learning when they're watching these reels? Are you communicating with somebody who knows? Don't just watch the reel and be like, all right, good. I'm cured now. No. You gotta implement some. Yeah, you gotta implement some of that. So those are my original thoughts. What about you, Sharika?
I think my original thoughts is it varies per person. Everybody goes to therapy for different reasons. So when you say, hey, have they attended therapy before in the past? They was maybe only attending therapy for one reason, and then something else definitely came up. But maybe the relationship with that therapist didn't allow them to really address the issues that they had, right? So it allows them, when they look at reels, they connect to it. Like, that's why people look at reels in the first place. They want to connect to it. They really want to say, hey, this person seems similar to me. As far as they're addressing a trauma or they're becoming a subject matter expert, I think they'll be able to understand exactly what they may be going through. But because everybody is unique, they don't really understand exactly maybe the right path for them to go through it. They actually utilize the reel to say, well, maybe I'm going to try this, instead of utilizing therapy to say, hey, let me find my method. What's going to allow me to be able to move forward and grow.
All right. Well, we switching the game up on this season, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to switch it up just for this episode right now. Terance wants to know, all right? So I'm asking you this question. If you could describe therapy in 2 words.
Oh, wow.
What would it be? There's a reason why I'm asking, but if you could describe therapy in 2 words, there's 2 words, not a phrase, but 2 words, what would it be?
All right, since you only gave me 2 words, it's more than this, but this is a key part of it. Identify patterns.
Okay.
Identify patterns.
All right. Identify pattern. All right.
All right, you chose my word, but
you have.
I was.
I can. if you hadn't chose the word, I can
No.
elaborate on my idea. Okay, all right.
I have it.
Okay.
Because I was going to say system and vulnerability.
Systems
And vulnerability.
Systems and vulnerability.
Okay, Mr. Therapist. Now, what you want us to stay right there? You gonna get
No, I'm gonna give you
clarification?
mine.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
gonna give you mine. Awareness and skills.
Okay.
okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, you did that.
Yeah.
You
So
did that.
what happened was, the reason I even brought that up is I was in a session with a client, and actually I was in supervision. I take it back. I was supervising other social workers who trying to get their license.
Are you a
And-
supervisor?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, and pretty much I told them therapy is only creating awareness, but not just creating awareness, because that's the whole. If I watch these Instagram trends, like that's the awareness piece. So like I'm aware of my, pain experiences and triggers, boundaries, and all that stuff. But like you said, what are you going to do with it? So then you have to teach our clients skills in order to know what to do with it. So awareness and skill building. That's pretty much all therapy is. But the other part is they have to implement it. So you can teach them all the skills in the world, but if they don't implement it, then what are you doing, right? You can't really create change with just awareness. Like it can create change, but you want the change to be impactful and long lasting, and that's where the skill building comes into play.
Yeah, you
I
did
like
that.
how you did that.
Yeah, you did that.
I have moments.
Yeah.
It was like the young people see.
Yeah.
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 That's what they say, right? I have moments.
But the just to kind of go, I don't really want to piggyback off it because I don't want to mess it up.
No, go
but
ahead.
the awareness is the beginning.
Yep.
Right, and then it goes to the next parts that you was talking about, building those skills and then implementing them. So it's kind of like a 3-part system.
Yep.
All right. Research indicates a significant rise in self-diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
This is the QD of the hour. Research indicates a significant rise in self-diagnosis and the use of clinical terminology via social media platforms. 100% of participants indicated that they view mental health content online. Approximately 84% of those participants in this particular research view online content about mental health disorders and symptoms, sometimes, often, or always. Well, what it's trying to say is they were saying 84% of that 100%, not only did they view it, but they were saying they participated in the actual symptoms of that diagnosis, sometimes, often, or always. And that came from Science Direct. There was a pilot study of youth entertaining mental health treatment. And I do have people come in. People come into sessions, man, and they already have their diagnosis ready. Like, I think I'm depressed. I think I have anxiety. I think I have, I have seen that shift from when I first started therapy to now. When I first started therapy, I could explain to a person, this is the diagnosis that I believe that's connected to you, and these are the symptoms. And it's like an aha moment for them. But people are coming in already having that aha moment through social media. And then I either have to get on board or challenge that, right? And not only get on board or challenge it, but say, these are coping skills that you can put into place and still have the optimal life, right? And still be able to navigate life and life challenges, even with this diagnosis that is attached to you. So the QDR is very, very, very interesting. All right, so let's go into Terance, what you said earlier. This is going to be you said something about this is going to be unique. And how we're getting used to each other as
Little Rocky.
Yeah,
That's how I describe Rocky.
Little Rocky here.
Yeah.
So going on over into we kind of talked about when y'all just what do y'all think about that therapy trending? Just the therapy trend of just the overall topic. What is y'all thought process? Therapy has been trending, but is it transforming us? Just what comes to mind when you're thinking about that?
My TikTok.
What do you mean?
I'm glad you asked. Okay, so the reason I say my TikTok is because on my algorithm has learned that I like listening to like motivational, like therapy type things in music. It just depends on the day. But mostly, when I hear that it's therapy's trending, but is it transformative? I can see how, like, especially with the the acuity of the hour is quotable date of the hour, how some people can take that information, whether it's motivational, whether it's therapy related, and take it and then be like, oh, this is I can relate to this, right? And then after they say I can relate to this, oh, I must have this. So when I think about that, I think people are looking for an explanation. And what happens is they make a connection to what someone else is saying, which leads back to this whole thing of people really want attention, connection, and affection, right? So that's what I believe in as far as a therapist. And so when they can connect to something someone says or connect to a video, then I must have this. But like you said, sometimes you have to challenge that. And so in order for it to be transformative, it's not just about what you know, it's about what you do with the information. So yes, it's trending as far as like therapy, language, diagnosis, mental health. But but is it transformative? Like Sharika said, I think it depends on the person, because it depends on what they're doing with the information that they're getting. Not everybody's doing the same thing. Some people will get the information and slap a label on themselves, and I hate to say it this way, it'll be an excuse for something. Oh, why aren't you doing your schoolwork? I'm depressed. Why aren't you? Why are you always angry? Oh, I'm anxious, or I'm depressed. Right? It's an explanation for behaviors, but the behavior is not the explanation for the diagnosis, if that makes sense. So, for example, just because you might have symptoms, keyword, symptoms of depression, doesn't mean that you have to behave in a certain way. That's a choice. Sometimes, most of the time. I ain't gonna say 100%, but a high percent of the time that's a choice. So you have to really think about that. But the transformation piece comes from what you do with the information, not the information itself.
Yeah.
So.
Now, Sharika, I don't want to keep putting you on the spot, but like if you have something to say, you just jump in, and say it. And if you don't, then that's fine. I don't like keep putting you on the spot like that. But in general, have you ever smelled? I guess I can make it personable. Have you ever felt smart about your problems, but weaken your ability to change them?
I would say initially. It's interesting when he had mentioned connection, right? People really want to grow, right? Even when I first actually got into the therapy realm, it wasn't to say, hey, I want to be a therapist. I just felt like I wanted to grow. I wanted to see change within myself, but I also want to recognize what caused me to be the person that I was. So I think what happens is in that moment, I was searching. So that's what people are doing on social media. They're searching because they're trying to find that identity. But what happens is I think I had that stigma, and I'm trying to shift that stigma away from people that there's nothing wrong with taking the time to get true help. Don't allow, I always call it the Google search. When people just naturally sick, they go searching through Google, like, let me see what my symptoms are, right? Just like they can align to it. But what it does is once you get that education, like I really, truly want to shift from understanding this and really getting the true help for it. That's when the shift goes into therapy. Like, let me really talk to somebody to really, truly understand myself, how I can become better.
Yeah. And when we start Googling it, or watching those reels, then that's where the language starts to come in at, because the algorithms know what you want, so they start feeding it to you.
Absolutely.
And then now you're attaching yourself, or you're aligning yourself with the reels, the Google search, and then there's language that connects to it that's repeated time and time again. And as a result of that repeated language, we start then saying it, right? Then to Terance's point, once we start saying it, then we start using it. He didn't say it like this, I'm saying it like this. We start using that language as an excuse to do what we want to do. That's what I feel as if sometimes we do that. I should say that. I feel as sometimes we do that. On the paper here it says we use language to hide from vulnerability and ooh, this is a nice one, and control others. And that when I see that, I think about what you said about boundaries. How often are we talking boundaries so that we don't have to go into this room, or we don't have to compromise in this situation in a relationship? A relationship is still compromise. You can't, boundaries are not. A relationship is still compromise. Boundaries are not. You still, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, you're probably still going to have to do things that you don't like to do or don't want to do. And you got, now the boundaries part is, what am I willing to do? Now, I'm willing to, I give an example between me and my wife. When me and my wife first got together or whatever, I was the person who, when I went to sleep listening to music. No TV on, none of that stuff. She went to sleep with the TV on. I was willing to go to sleep with the TV on in order to stay with her, in order to be with her, instead of doing it my way. Now, I simplified it in that there's more things that I'm willing to do to stay in that relationship, but that's what the boundaries is. Am I willing to do it? And if I'm not, then no come in. No, I'm not going to do this. And, we don't have to be together if you don't respect that. So,
Do you think boundaries sometimes are used as weapons?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is, just kind of like going off your example a little bit, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do, and in hopes of, and it goes back to another thing you said, control the other person. So I'm not going to do this, but if you want to be with me, you have to respect my boundaries. Now, that other person may really want to be with you, so depending on who they are, right, they might be like, well, I can deal with this. But what that person just did was took their boundaries and told this person what they're not going to do, which was not compromise, and this is how it is, and or you can get with it or get gone. And that person wants that connection to that other person, and so instead of compromising, they just go along, go with the flow. But what happens is, when you're not compromising in relationships or willing to have some type of leeway, it gets one-sided, and that's where the controlling part comes in, and it leads to a whole bunch of different issues. But I do think sometimes boundaries are weaponized, and people use them because they control other people.
Yeah. And the way that you don't weaponize it is, if I'm going to use boundaries, let me get an understanding of your boundaries. Mm-hmm. I can't just tell you all my boundaries and then expect for the relationship to be like, all right, good. Mm-hmm. Let me get an understanding of yours too. If I'm going to be talking about gaslighting and how you gaslight me, then I need to give that person an opportunity to say, well, I felt gaslit when you did this. And quit trying to be on the defensive and being like, nah, I ain't do that. If you did it, then own up to it and be willing to change. This therapy language and learning about therapy, it ain't just yours to hold to yourself and then not allow other people to get into the game as well. Like, we all, when we learning this stuff, it's for, I keep talking about it in a relationship sense. It's not just for you and your partner, but it's for all the people that's connected to you, even your kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
If I'm gonna talk about boundaries to my kids, I gotta be willing, and this one hurts, I gotta be willing to allow my kids to have boundaries with me. I gotta allow them to grow up. Man, Terance, I have a 20-year-old son and I have an 18-year-old son. They could have had boundaries beforehand, but they definitely got it now. I can't keep deboing them.
No, you can't.
Like, they 12 and they 13.
I ain't gonna lie to that.
They basically grown. They are grown men. Technically, they're grown men. They're growing into a man, but I can't handle them like that. I can't talk at them. I gotta talk to them.
Mm-hmm. Difference.
And I'm getting away a little bit, but the main thing is if we're gonna use these words, gaslit, boundaries. I can't remember the other ones that we've used. We gotta allow the people that we're using them to or against. We gotta allow them to use it against us too. So.
And Sharika, you said when you said about going into therapy and you wanted to understand yourself. So I feel like when people are, like you said, looking at these different reels and things, are trying to understand themselves. But the question is, this to you: why are they trying to understand themselves?
Why are they trying to understand themselves?
Why are they trying to understand themselves?
Because they recognize the patterns that they keep going through.
Okay.
I mean, when you talk about relationships, imagine someone who's always dating the same person.
Mm-hmm.
You want to recognize, like, why am I continually choosing this particular cycle if I can try something totally different?
Yep.
Or when you say about, even when you talk about like trauma, if you've experienced something, you're going to keep repeating that same thing constantly until you take a moment and say, why?
Yeah.
And I think that's a difficult piece of the why.
It is. Okay. So if you understand why, what are you going to do with it?
Once you understand why, you have to actually use those skills that you
There
were
you
talking
go.
about.
There you go.
So that way you can continue growing and do something different.
Yes.
Break the cycle.
And one of those.
I like you see how you use that word.
I ain't gonna go there yet.
He loves break cycle.
I ain't gonna go there yet. I will wait. But put a pin in that one.
Okay.
All right. But I feel like you said, it's more so using those skills, and part of those skills is communication, right? So when you understand, yourself, patterns, when you understand like your own story, you're better able to communicate that to someone else. So they have, like you said, the opportunity to do what? Hear you, try to understand you, so they then can respond to you, right? So I think that's a big part of that, trying to understand yourself, and is so that you can communicate that to other people. Because a lot of times people they react instead of respond. So what I mean by that is, instead of taking a moment to think about what's going on, why am I having this particular maybe internal conflict with whatever's going on, I then probably just get upset or shut down or fire off at somebody, something like that. That's a reaction. But when I can understand what's going on, internalize that, process that, and then do a response so that the other person can understand what's going on with me, then that's where we start to work together, right? So,
because it sounds like you're utilizing communication with boundaries. Because sometimes people say have established boundaries to remain the same, to not change. So when you involve communication, then you can actually allow those boundaries to be established together, so that way you can implement those skills and grow together.
Man, what's this? Karen, help me out. Sharika, you can help me out too. What's the word when I think I got it in my mind, but I'm gonna test y'all. But anyways, when your brain can change. When your brain can change, meaning your brain can grow. I know what it is now. It's popped in my mind. When your brain's able to grow, meaning it doesn't necessarily stay with the same patterns. It doesn't stay with the same knowledge. It's able to grow and expand. What's that word?
I don't know. Quick Google is neuroplasticity.
That's it.
Plasticity.
What's the definition? Neuroplasticity.
The brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, allowing it to adapt to new information, experiences, and learning.
Exactly. So our brain is able to have neuroplasticity, meaning that when you learn about yourself, when you gain knowledge from these different reels and things like that, you're allowing your brain to pretty much expand and learn and grow. So no, these reels aren't always negative. It's what you learn and what you do with the information, because we as people respond to patterns, right, and experiences. So if I have one experience, right, and I know the outcome of this, and then I go over here, and this experience is similar to my old one, I'm probably going to, and my brain is automatically going to say, you remember when this happened, and again, our brain's going to try to protect us. So that's when all the stress hormones and all that stuff starts to be released. But the thing is, if we learn these different skills, we help our brain have neuroplasticity to learn different ways of coping and behaving, and not being stuck in a cycle that doesn't serve us anymore.
How you say that word?
Neuroplasticity.
Ooh, I'm about to practice that. Well, I love how you say we learn from our experiences, because when I gave that definition, it says adapting to new information, experiences, and learning.
Yep.
Not just adapting to new information, not just learning, but it included experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot get away from experiences. And when I say experiences, get out the house.
Yeah.
When I say experiences, go do something.
Yeah.
Not just staying on the reels. And look, social media is good. I love social media. I like social media. It'll do allow us to connect, and we'll talk about that at a later date. But we cannot only stay on social media. We cannot only stay in the books. We can't only get to, like, what good is a person who go and get all of these degrees but they never apply the degree? And so the experiences is our opportunity to apply it and see what works for us. And Sharika made point of, when we get in all these information, we're still a different person. I think you said that too. Mm-hmm. We're still a different person. So if I'm dealing with anger, right, timeout may not work out for me. Me going sit in the corner might not be good for me. But on the other hand, me walking myself through it, stop, think, and then do something, that might actually work for me. For somebody else, stopping and thinking might not work. I might just need to go away. Mm-hmm. I need to step. So there's different things that are being placed out there, different coping skills, different skills in general, interventions that are being put out there. And you can't just look at the information, process the information through reels. You actually have to experience life and then try those different things, the new informations that you're getting, so that your brain can grow.
Yep.
That's why, like I said earlier, my kids, I got a 20-year-old, I got an 18-year-old. At the time of this episode, they're 20, and my boys are 20 and 18. They're my boys, but they are men, right? And the decisions that they're making right now, I won't make those same decisions because of my neuroplasticity. Mm-hmm. It's grown, and I know not to make those type of decisions, and they're going to have those experiences so that they then know not to make those decisions.
Exactly.
So, it's life can be hard if you let it, and it can also be easy. We can dumb it down and make it easier. All right. Terance, how you feeling about this?
I like it. I'm rolling with it. Like I said, we it takes a little time when you're in a new setting, new environment, new people, mm-hmm. To learn each other, play off each other, and that takes comes with time. But I love it. Like I said, I feel like it's going to be a great season, and we just going to keep it rolling along. What my mom loves King George. What's that song? Keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling.
Yes.
Keep on. We're gonna keep on rolling.
Yes. I'm so tired of hearing King George.
Listen, man.
but
my mama. But she don't listen to the music I listen to. So if my mama get in the car, I just know, just go turn on some King George. She'll just sing all the way to where we going. So I don't. That's just what I do.
So now she didn't put that boundary in place. You just know if my mama ride with me, I'm gonna play this.
Well, I started playing R&B.
Uh-huh.
That's what I normally would put. Then one day she was like, "You put some King George on." So now every time she get in the car, I just put on King George. I know she like it. So
okay, and it worked for y'all.
It works.
It works.
It works. So it's not a boundary issue. It's like established. It's just more something I know she likes it. So it's to make her ride comfortable. I'll put on King George and let her vibe out.
I have the established boundary.
Yeah.
Play the gospel.
Okay. I can do that too. So.
All right. So one of the things I think Josh started doing this towards the end. I don't know what season he started doing it on, but Josh started saying, asking people to give final takeaways as we ended the episode. So based on what we talked about today, what would be a final takeaway for anybody that was listening to the episode. The episode again is therapy has been trending, but is it transforming us? So what would be a final takeaway? You got some?
I'm just gonna flip the words.
Okay.
Transform the trend. Transform the trend. And just a quick example. I mean, not a quick example. A quick explanation. Something that's trending. Again, we talked about the doing aspect of it. You have to do something with the information you get. So just because something is trending, transform it for yourself. Make it applicable to your life, and like you said, get out and do something. Right, do something about it. And the only way to do that is transform the trend. So transform the trend.
Okay, what you got, Sharik?
I mean, I think Terance said it earlier when you said you got to apply the skill. As you're taking the time to learn all these different things on social media, following the reels, getting outside, make sure that you're applying the skill. Like, where are you going with it?
So we all on one accord then, because I was going to say, don't just learn a word, apply the word.
Yeah.
So it's, the application is going to be key. If you learn nothing else, when you are listening to these things and you're on social media and you're taking in all of this stuff, you got to be able to apply it through your experiences, apply it through trial and error, but you got to try to apply it. So thank y'all for joining us for this episode 102. Therapy has been trending, but is it transforming us? We're official now. We're official as host, and we just want you to take an audit when you're listening. Audit. How am I supposed to say that? Audit.
I think he was right.
I was right the first time?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Take an audit and what it actually means to move from knowing to healing. So, and thank you to Winston Stewart, who is always behind the camera, making sure that we look good with all these lights. Bright lights and stuff. Yeah. But listen and subscribe to us on the major podcast platforms, and follow us on social media. We're pretty big and heavy on YouTube, but we're also on other platforms as well. And if you need support on your healing journey, reach out to Gravity Counseling Group, or just send us a message and maybe we can point you into the right direction. And last but not least, if you guys have a topic, subject, anything y'all want us to discuss, send it on in. Because Terance always like what the people want to know. So y'all send it in and he'll dissect it and we'll figure it out. So
Talk to me.
thank y'all for tuning in. Take care today.